you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Aric DiLalla.
Phil, let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We are still riding high here in the Mile High City.
Yeah. I just put my shirt back on.
Yeah.
Streaking through the quad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a party all night long.
That was,
Aric.
Man, what a win, Phil.
That was probably the biggest Broncos win since a Cowboys game, maybe? Is it bigger than that one?
I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah,
I think it's the
probably
biggest
bigger than that one.
I think it's the biggest win since Super Bowl 50.
Wow. You
I
think so?
I think so.
You think so?
I mean, this is the Broncos went out there, Phil. They didn't just it felt like the Cowboys game in the sense that they didn't just win, they kind of dominated them physically. You know, they whooped them up a little bit.
Yeah, whooped them up.
It wasn't perfect by any means, and I think that was encouraging to me as well, that the Broncos, they still made a lot of mistakes. They turned the ball over on a fourth down. They got a strip sack. They had a field goal blocked. Took some sacks that put them out of field goal range a couple of times.
Yeah.
And they still won by 15 points.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 turnovers from Kansas City, you're just not going to win. You're not going to win in the NFL if you turn it over 5 times. You know, and the Broncos did a lot of good yesterday too, in addition to the 5 turnovers, and that's why they won. I don't know about you, Aric, though. There's something about the Chiefs that even when you're up like 2 scores and there's like 4 minutes left or something, you're still like, they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, just in the back of your mind, you're just like, somehow something's gonna happen. You know, and if it wasn't for Sky Moore's drop in the end zone, I mean, that could have been a little bit of a different ending too. So there's always something about the Chiefs, and the fact that the Broncos were like, no, not today. That was encouraging.
It was very encouraging.
It was awesome.
Phil. It was you snap a streak, you send a message to yourself that you can beat anybody in this league when you take down Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, you send a message? You think they send themselves like a little like for later, for memo. Future Aric, we can do anything if we really try hard.
I think that's what they did.
Yeah.
Because if you can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions.
That's true. You can do anything.
And, you know, that's not to say that you're going to go to Buffalo and win on Monday Night Football, but I think.
Maybe.
But I think you look at that game now and you say Broncos certainly have a chance.
Most
Broncos
definitely.
certainly can do it after you win that game. And, you know, the Cowboys. Big win, right? It was a good team. I think they had 1 loss at the time.
2021.
Yep.
Yeah. Went on the road to Dallas and whooped them up too.
Whooped them up.
Yeah. Different point in the season kind of for the Broncos. Like they were, I think they had a winning record at that point. But there is something about the Chiefs that beating this opponent makes it a much, much, much bigger deal. I mean, this is...
I think they were 3-4.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh.
But so it was similar.
Oh, I guess that is similar then.
Yeah, because in this one they were 2-5.
Interesting.
But I just think the weight of the streak and the fact that you see the Chiefs twice a year, the fact that this is the defending Super Bowl champion. You know, the Cowboys were good, right? But they weren't the defending Super Bowl champions. I look back maybe 2018, a really good Pittsburgh Steelers team came here. The Broncos knock them off with a Shelby Harris interception in the end zone. That was a big win. But this was
an emotional, like the cloud has lifted.
This was bigger
from this city. I think the reason why you know that it was a big win, former Broncos were like weighing in and being like, congrats to the Broncos. They got this done. So happy for these guys. I mean, I think when you're in the moment or like even like Sean Payton after the game said like, hey, the streak didn't come up this week, that kind of thing. But I do think that if they're being honest with themselves, this was a big deal.
You could see it.
Yeah.
As they were walking off the field, Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles.
Even Russ on the sideline was like pumping up the crowd saying, come on.
Yeah.
That you don't do that just for a normal win.
No. In the final 2 minutes there, Javante's getting the crowd going. I mean, these, especially the guys that have been through this, right?
Yeah.
Justin, Cortland, Garrett. You could see it on their faces.
Emotional.
I mean, Justin talking in the post-game press conference is like a different guy up there than he has been the last few weeks.
How was he? Jubilant?
No, I think it was like a confidence and like a weight had been lifted off these guys' shoulders, and that
the monkey is just gone.
You can just play free now. I think, and Mike McGlinchey said it after. It turns us into believers.
Yeah.
They saw Mahomes' face. Now they're believers. Kind of like that song.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Right over.
I tried.
Right over my head. What song was that?
Yeah. I'm a Believer.
Oh.
Yeah, it was in Shrek. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Oh, I have seen Shrek. Yeah.
Yeah, not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor.
But yeah, Phil, I just think that they showed an identity on offense of running the ball and making timely throws when they needed them.
Yeah.
Defensively, they were physically dominant.
Yes, they only 3 sacks of Mahomes, but it felt like they were in his face.
They hit him 11 times.
Yeah, all game long. There was maybe like 1 or 2 scrambles where he got loose a little bit, but for the most part, kept him in there in that pocket. And Sean Payton kept calling out the second act. They did a nice job on the second act. They went out for intermission and got like a little snack. Then they came back and they did what they still did it.
There was just a toughness, Phil, where it felt like the Broncos played really well in the first half, and then at the end of the half, Russell Wilson gets strip sacked. The Chiefs add a field goal. You're panicking.
I was panicking.
My phone is blowing up.
I said, no matter what happens, they'll lose by 3. That's what I thought at that
That's
point.
what you thought.
That's just sort of like if the script had been turned in, that's what it would have been.
It felt like, hey, the Broncos have played as well as they can. The Chiefs have turned the ball over 3 times, and yet you're only up by 5.
Yeah.
Going into halftime, you come out of halftime, you drain 8 minutes off the clock and get a field goal blocked.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no. And this team just responded in a way that
mental toughness too. Yeah.
I don't know if they do that in previous years. And I think there's this idea of mental toughness and responding to adversity and playing through things under Sean Payton that we haven't seen here in a long time.
Like, I think we can talk about the offense a lot more here, but the defense, Eric, to me, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Because this is like night and day difference from like that Miami game. I mean, it's just hard to imagine this is the same team. Now, granted, they're a lot healthier. Guys have come back. They've substituted some guys in different positions, and they're playing a lot better now. But it just doesn't even feel like this is the same defense.
No, I don't know what the stats show in terms of the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I would guess if you looked at points per game allowed over since the Jets game, for example, that this team would be in the top 10 in scoring defense, I would assume. And they've been playing really well. The red zone defense, you keep waiting for that to come back to earth. They've been incredible.
Really good.
They allowed the Chiefs to score 1 touchdown over 120 minutes this year. I think they became only the 3rd team ever to hold the Chiefs without a touchdown in the Mahomes era.
In the Mahomesian era.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think part of it is there's been some personnel adjustments, right?
Yes, Fabian Moreau
is in at corner. Jaquan McMillan is in at nickel.
Those guys are playing out of their minds right now.
They're playing really well. You got some guys back. Josie Jewell missed a couple games there. Justin Simmons missed some time. So you are getting guys back, and that's part of
PJ
it. PJ Locke played well. But then I think there's the element of it just takes some time, I think, to adjust to a new system, to feel comfortable. And certainly Vance Joseph took a lot of criticism, Phil.
Oh, my goodness.
I think credit to him and his staff for turning this around because the Broncos won yesterday because of their defense.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And Mahomes never looked comfortable. Travis Kelce was limited.
Travis Kelce had 6 catches for 58 yards.
Yeah.
Which for a normal tight end, that's probably a pretty good game. For this superhero,
he had 170 yards last week.
This was a terrible game.
And he had,
yeah.
They were flying around. They were hitting Mahomes. They were pressuring him. It just, you're right. It looked like a different defense. And even with the new personnel and the time adjusting to the scheme, you've just got to credit these guys for continuing to play hard and fixing this thing because
and the pass rush too, Eric. I mean, those are some guys there talking about Baron Browning coming back. Nick Benito looks like a man possessed out there. Jonathan Cooper, always seems to be around the ball. I am Coop.
That's right.
It seems like maybe the fact that Randy Gregory and Frank Clark aren't there has just freed them to just go out there and just do their thing. There's not this pressure of playing time or snaps or anything. They're the Broncos guys. This is who they're rolling with. And for some reason that's empowered them a little bit.
And you listen to
Patrick. Empowered them feel them mile high.
Yeah, I think so. you listen to Mahomes after the game, and he's not acting like the Broncos did something different or they out-schemed them. He said they did what they do, and they just did it better than us.
I thought that was nice. I thought Mahomes' post-game comments were nice. He gave the Broncos
nice.
credit. Yeah, that was... He could have just said, hey, made it all about the Chiefs and been like, we didn't play very well today. We're going to bounce back. He was like, no, let's give them some credit. I thought that was classy. That was nice.
I mean, there were some plays that the Chiefs made that you're like, what do you, like the fumbled punt, the muff punt?
Yeah.
That was purely a Chiefs mistake.
That was just a mistake.
But, I mean,
Drew Sanders was right there.
The Browning strip sack, that was Baron Browning making an incredible play.
Yeah.
The Jaquan McMillan interception, I mean, diving back across the field. That's a great play.
He was out there looking like Travis Hunter.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him in the same place?
I haven't.
Makes you think.
It does. Travis Hunter could play.
He could
on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. The defense just was spectacular. Really good.
Yeah, Josie's strip sack. These guys are around the ball too to recover it.
Yeah.
Fumble,
strip, just a fumble.
Just not a strap. Yeah, sorry, just a forced fumble.
Yeah. Just that.
I was just getting a little crazy.
But Justin Simmons right there to pick it up. Did the interception too.
And they kind of come in bunches, they say, the turnovers.
There is something about Mahomes against this Broncos defense. Last year he threw 3 picks here in Denver.
Yeah, Jewel had 2 of them.
Yep. Earlier this year, Simmons had a pick, and Kareem had one that got called back because
nullified.
Oh, good word.
Yeah.
But this team, they've played Mahomes tight, and nice to see them get over the hump. And not just, enough of the, hey, we're close, or that was a moral victory.
No.
This was a big-time victory that I think showed these guys, hey, we can actually do this.
Yeah.
And
they called it a measuring stick game before,
so
now
measured.
They
measured.
Yeah, they measured up.
I think that, they obviously still face an uphill climb here, Phil.
They dug themselves a hole.
They did. 0-3, 1-5. And I think after a win like that, part of me looks back and says, man, if they could have just gotten a win against the Commanders or the Jets,
or the Raiders.
Right. Even just one of those, you're 4-4 going into the bye week, and you feel a lot, even just that one game, I think would make you feel a lot better in terms of the playoff picture and all that. But that win yesterday, Phil, it really changes the course of your season. And now if you can go on a little run here, which I think they have the belief to now understand that they can do that. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Sean Payton says that this team's starting to build an identity to sort of figure out their personnel. He says take some time. The Broncos are at the halfway mark. Maybe you wish that they would have got some of these things lined up a little bit earlier, but they're here now, and it feels like this thing's starting to come together a little bit. And you sort of feel like maybe an emotional win like this helps you turn the corner. It's back-to-back wins. We talk all the time about good teams stacking wins and building off of that. And, it feels like this team is starting to do that. Defensively, they've turned it around. And then yesterday, running the football was tremendous. And then when it really mattered, Cortland Sutton, touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, that 39-yard play down the field, he went up and got that thing. And then 2 plays later, boom, in the corner there. So it feels like Russ is really playing well, too. I mean, his stats suggest that he's one of the top, 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. So it's starting to come together a little bit for this team.
Yeah, and Russ is playing, I think, efficiently, right? There's certainly took probably too many sacks yesterday, and part of that, I think a few of them could be attributed to him, a few of them maybe not. Sean Payton said the play call, kind of what you're trying to do, goes into that. I thought it was promising that, Phil, in the final stages of that game, Russ steps up in the pocket there and finds Cortland for the touchdown. And Russ is very athletic. There's a time to bail out and a time to run. But I think the fact that he stepped up there showed comfort. And listen, I know Russ is kind of getting some criticism today that, he only threw for 100-something yards.
That was a game plan.
Right. They ran the ball 40 times. And
he had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions.
The strip sack before halftime, obviously, you wish you have that back. but he was efficient and made plays and was one of the reasons why they won that football game. And you can't point to some of the plays and then leave out that, okay, he connects with Judy on that deep down the field reception that puts him in the red zone, or the throw to Judy in the corner of the end zone, or the throw to Cortland there for the touchdown. I mean, you can't leave those plays out. Made some plays with his legs at times. And yeah, overall, and that's a good defense, right?
Really good defense.
You look at where they rank among the league leaders, they're right up there in the top 5. And so if he played that way, a team that brings a lot of pressure, yeah.
And some third downs, it felt like, when they really needed to stay on the field, they were able to execute a couple of big plays there. I think they were 6 of 14 on third down. So, yeah, I mean, look, the game plan coming in was let's play some keep away from Patrick Mahomes. Let's dominate time of possession. They did that. Let's run the football, pound it on them. Javonte Williams, once again, really difficult to bring down. And the running style, the physicality started to pay off there late in the fourth quarter. The no turnovers or no interceptions, I think, was big. The strip sack, obviously not great. I agree with you. There was opportunities to improve on this. It's not like they played a perfect game. So yeah, there's some things that need to get better. Can't be taking sacks on some of those third downs that get you out of field goal range. But yeah, overall, I mean, you got production from your 2 top wideouts. Russ had 3 touchdowns. Javonte looked really good. That's about what all you can ask for, I guess, from these guys.
Right. And Russ threw 1 incompletion in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. There were some, I think he was 6 of 12 in the first half, and I believe 6 of 7 in the second half. And, again, took a couple of sacks there, but I think 3 sacks, but when you look at it, they did what they needed to do. And you don't always have to go out and score 35 points. I think the Broncos were able to control that game. Like you said, time of possession. They had the ball for more than 11 minutes in the third quarter. Mahomes only touched the ball 1 time, and you held him scoreless in that 1 possession. And so that gives you an opportunity to win football games. And we mentioned before, the Chiefs have only been held without a touchdown 3 times now in the Mahomes era. Well, those were against physical teams that ran the ball well and grinded it out and kind of made it these low-scoring games. I think it was back, Phil, when Vic Fangio was here. He said, when Mahomes scores 30, you're done. Yeah. And so it's got to be these grinded-out kind of games. And the Broncos did that. And I think there'll be weeks where the Broncos, I think, throw the ball down the field and Russ has another 300-yard game and you're playing like that. But I can't remember who said it, but you never apologize for winning a football game, no matter how it looks. And
yeah, Sean even said that on Monday. He said it doesn't have to look aesthetically appealing to be effective, And I don't know, some of those runs I thought looked really nice.
Yeah, Javonte, his totals took a little bit of a hit there on that final drive because
but before that he was
right. But if you take those out, he's over 100 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
He looked like at one point he was carrying a defender on his back for a first down
run. Get
off. He looked like Javonte, which I know we keep saying. Cortland Sutton makes one of the most impressive catches of his career with that fingertip grab on a third down, keeping the Broncos on the field. He drew another pass interference call. They made plays when they needed to. And, again, I know we said this a couple times, but it wasn't like they went out and scored on every possession and that's how they won this football game. They still made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. They were still good enough and resilient enough to win the football game. And I think that's what, if you're Sean Payton, you can talk to this team and say, hey, we beat the defending Super Bowl champions and we can still be a lot better offensively.
Yeah, most definitely. I think on the broadcast, they said that the Broncos running backs lead the league in receiving yards on screenplays. So that's a huge part of this offense, that's going to be consistent there, getting the ball to the running backs in space, and particularly trying to make an opposing front seven really think about what they're doing. They can't just tee off on Russ a little bit. So that's a good Chiefs defense, and you got to try and keep them off balance a little bit. So that's going to be a part of this Broncos offense moving forward too, just getting Jaleel McLaughlin the ball out there, getting Javonte out in open space and let them do what they do.
Yeah. And I just thought I was impressed again with the resilience. The field goal gets blocked there early in the third or midway through the third quarter because they took 8 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
It would have been really easy you could almost see the scenario, right? Like the Chiefs go down and score a touchdown. Now all of a sudden you're losing the football game.
Yeah.
The defense gets a big stop. I believe there was a stretch there in the second quarter where the Broncos forced a takeaway on 3 of 4 possessions. They just, every time they were challenged, they came up with a big play.
Yeah.
And it was impressive. And if they can keep that going, Phil, I think you never guarantee anything, but I think you like that you have a good chance to go in and compete in Buffalo. And certainly you come back after that with another couple home games. Let's see what the Broncos can do here. You never want to make too much of one game, but the way the Broncos came out of that Thursday night game and won 2 home games, it's kind of changed the trajectory of where this season can go.
Certainly the feeling around here is a lot different now. And I think that you mentioned Buffalo after the bye week. Then they return home and play Minnesota.
That's right.
Cleveland.
Minnesota, it appears without Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
So they'll have a backup quarterback. You play Cleveland at home, who is dealing with kind of their own quarterback situation at the moment. Deshaun Watson not fully healthy, and even when he was out there, wasn't playing great. I think that's fair to say. And then you go to Houston to play a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who has played some really good football, but struggled.
They lost on Sunday.
Struggled yesterday to the Panthers, right?
Yeah, that was the top 2 quarterbacks dueling.
And it doesn't get easier from there, right? That starts a stretch of 3 road games where you've got to play the Chargers and the Lions.
You've memorized it, so
of course.
I'm just trying to.
There's only so many games left to even remember.
I'm trying to keep up here. So,
but I think you're looking at a path where even if can the Broncos get back to 6-6, and maybe can they steal another one in Buffalo and get to 7-5? I mean,
the Von Miller game. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, that'll be a cool storyline going into that. But certainly, I think, and we'll talk much more about this as we get closer, but Josh Allen plays in some ways similar to Mahomes, where he'll run around and try to make things happen. If the defense can get to him,
some mistakes,
force some turnovers, you'll have a chance up there. And
they certainly, at the moment, don't quite look like the Buffalo of the last couple of years.
Right.
I think that's fair to say.
And it's just, regardless of what ultimately happens, right? Maybe you go on a big run here and you wind up in the postseason. Maybe you win some more games, but you fall short ultimately. I think if you can just win some games here down the stretch and at least put yourself in that conversation, it builds a great foundation for what you're doing and teaches you that, hey, we can be in contention. And we dug ourselves too much of a hole at 1-5. And maybe that's ultimately where you end up. But that doesn't mean that you're not setting a good foundation moving forward.
Building the culture.
And I think what they're showing is that under Sean Payton, they are
tougher
and more mentally disciplined maybe and have that ability to respond.
Hardened. And
maybe they're closer than, a couple of weeks ago, people were talking about tear it all down and tank for the number 1 pick. And I think this team has shown that it's better than that and can compete for more than that. And good for them, right? Because the guys on this team now deserve the chance, I think, to go after this. And we'll have to see, Phil, as we're recording this, no trades yet. Sean Payton has said the Broncos are not
going to unload this
not
whole
remotely
thing.
Shopping people. And so we'll see what happens there. But as of now, it seems like the Broncos like what they're dealing with and want to try to get back in this thing. Yeah.
And I think that regardless of what else happens, Aric, if you're just looking at, what's taking place here, at the end of the year, this is a game that you'll look back on and be like, that was a high moment there, beat the Chiefs. They're no longer like this invincible, godlike figure, that you're just like, can't do anything against. This was Mahomes' first loss on the road in the division ever. You'll have this to build upon moving forward, even into next year. Next year, that first game against the Chiefs, we're not talking about a streak, Right. So I think that at the end of every season, you go back and look at certain moments and you're like, oh, this was this was that. This is definitely going to be one of those moments. So we'll see what this does for the Broncos moving forward. But regardless, this is going to be a high point or one of the high points for this team for this year. But I liked what Sean said after the game. He was like, I'm glad we won it, but we're going to be in bigger games than this.
Yeah.
So like almost saying like, yeah, we expect to do this type of thing, So I do think it's a big moment, and I think that there's more to come with this Broncos team.
Yeah, I like the attitude of, and he's won a Super Bowl, right? So he's going to have that mindset. But I think you've got to celebrate that the streak is over, and a lot of these guys have to be happy that, hey, they've, the Broncos have finally beaten the Chiefs, and I'm in that boat myself. It's the first time since I've worked here, Phil, and it was 15 consecutive games, and finally they do it.
That's like the opposite of Mahomes. He said that this is the worst that I felt leaving this stadium.
It's the best.
It's the best you've ever felt leaving this
stadium.
That's
true.
Yeah,
but I think that has to be the mindset, right? That we have bigger goals here than beating the Chiefs to get to 3-5.
Yeah.
Right. We've got bigger goals than ending 16-game losing streaks.
Yep.
We've got goals. I'm sure the Broncos want to be in a position, and Sean wants to be in a position where they're 5-0 and the Chiefs come in and knock off the Chiefs to take hold of the division lead.
Yeah, exactly.
And so bigger games are coming, and I like that attitude of let's move forward, let's keep building, let's have high expectations for ourselves, because I think that also shows you, hey, we're not treating this as a fluke. We're treating this as what we are capable of. And you heard guys like Mike McGlinchey say this can change this organization's, where this organization is, its outlook. You heard Russell Wilson say, we know the standard now that we can play to, and now this is the expectation.
Yeah. You know what you're capable of now.
Right. And so that attitude of yes, we won, but okay, what's next? Right? Who can we beat now? How can we be better?
Yeah.
Those things, I think, are fair questions to ask. And Phil, I'm guessing around the league, the reaction to this game is the Chiefs had a bad day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If the Broncos go and beat Buffalo,
then you start thinking,
people, I think, are going to say, "Oh, what's going on in Denver?"
Better, they're
what's
better
going
than
on
we
in Denver?
thought they were.
And so that's I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's an exciting day. Even the fans, the comments on our YouTube,
were they positive?
They're just like night and day different. They're like, "Oh, I'm so happy for Vance," and like this team did it, and like I'm like, who are these people?
Who are these people? Where'd they come from?
I was like, where did you guys come from?
Yeah.
So it shows you what like a couple wins can do. It could just change the whole feel in this city.
It was the first time the Broncos have won consecutive games since week 3 last year.
Yeah.
And I don't off the top of my head know the last time the Broncos won 3 in a row, but I'm assuming it's the 3-0 start at the beginning of the 21 season.
Yeah.
And so they've it just shows you where the Broncos have been.
It's been some tough times.
And there are some big wins that feel maybe like an outlier. And to me, this feels a little bit differently in terms of, hey, maybe this can be the spark for something, and this can be a catalyst and lift that cloud that's been over this organization and really help you build towards something. And again, maybe it doesn't happen this year, but I like what you said. At the end of the year, you look back and say, this is what we can be.
Yeah.
And this is not say last year you beat the Chiefs in week 16 or whatever it was, or
meaningless game.
Right. This
is early
still
enough
a meaningful game for both teams.
Most definitely.
And the fact that the Broncos went out there and did it was impressive, and it was fun to watch, Phil.
Yeah, most definitely. No, it was really exciting, and you feel happy for the fan base, just because it's been so many times where the Chiefs have just won, and it just seems like helpless. Like you're just like, no matter what we do, it's not going to happen. It felt like that at times,
right.
Sometimes playing against these guys, but not yesterday.
Right. And for fans that were kind of looking at this Sean Payton's short era so far and said, we haven't seen results yet. We haven't seen what we're looking for. This was the result.
Yeah.
This was
exactly.
a sign that it's going to be different and things can be better moving forward. And I know the records, Phil, are the exact same as last year. You're 3-5 going into the bye. This feels a lot different.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And I know that last year there was still the win over the Jaguars, but this is different.
This is a lot different. Yeah.
And you're building towards something, whereas last year's team felt like it was kind of hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, hanging on is a good way to
describe. This team is
building.
Is getting better and building towards something, and that's really exciting for the future.
Then they got a lot of young guys, that are playing in big spots, and yeah, it's good to see them continue to grow and see that improvement week to week. So
definitely,
it takes time to buy into everything and get running and get everybody on the same page and get that faith and confidence and belief and all of that stuff. So definitely a happy day, Aric. And I think, winning is fun.
Yeah. Now you got to go do it again.
Yeah. Now you got to go do your celebration dance.
Jerry Judy.
I'm sorry that I added you. And
I can't do it on camera.
This is what you do.
It's too provocative for the camera.
And there's just not enough space in here, really, to just
got to get out on the field,
express yourself,
right?
So
yeah.
But
it's kind of a mix between the Judy and the Browning.
Exactly, where you go backwards. Yeah, there's a lot of
there's a pump, I think, and then there's a hand.
If I did what Baron Browning did, I'd be on IR. I would not be
or suspended from work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you can do things out on the football field.
Thanks for minimizing the schedule talk. I appreciate that.
We got some of it.
We got some of it in. Just a taste. So I know people have voicemails, and we'll get to those later.
Not Ben Swanson has him. He's not here.
We got to keep the jubilation going. We got to keep building it.
We got to. That's right.
And Ben Swanson's not here. I think
he's still in the stadium.
What happened? Yeah,
he's doing snow angels. I think.
I think so. Yeah, he said the inside of his windshield froze. I don't believe.
It's always an excuse.
I was like, what? I was like, how did that happen? He's like, I have to scrape the inside of my car. I was like, what?
You ever heard of a defroster, bro?
I was like, that's not. I don't think that's a thing. And he was like, it happened. Yeah, he said next time
he's going to use in a car, huh?
He's going to wrap his car in flannel. He said next time. So I don't know.
That should work.
Yeah, different kind of technique.
Different.
Yeah, different.
Not cool.
All right. Well, the Broncos win 24-9. Woo! We'll be back later. Trade deadline, obviously Tuesday. We'll see what happens there, and then the bye week.
We'll be here.
Get those pina coladas going. The margaritas. Get them going.
Be on the beach. Swanson's got his outfit ready.
Swanson's got the outfit going. Yeah, he already picked it out. So, and if you listen, you know. If you know, you know.
Yep.
So, all right, that's going to do it for us. For Aric DiLalla, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.